Hello everyone, it is me, Malaysia, and thank you guys for tuning in. So today we are going to be talking about 10 ways to prepare for state board. This is what I did to prepare for state board and I passed, and I definitely and highly recommend that you guys do the same thing. So let's get started. I am very big on this. Once I started cosmetology school, I knew that I wanted to get in and get out. I was not there to fool around, waste my time, waste anyone else's time. So I took full advantage of my school experience, and I wouldn't change anything. I definitely feel like I did everything I intended to do and more. There is sometimes some downtime at school. There were times when I would just relax, but there were also times when I would use that time to either study, sometimes make flashcards, and also just read up or watch YouTube videos on the things that I was interested in, such as coloring hair, cutting hair, makeup. I have no intentions on being a makeup artist, but makeup was something that I was interested in, and I enjoy makeup videos. So yeah, I just say give your all in school. When you give your all in school and you're engaged, it makes studying a bit easier. And I'll get into that a bit later. So typically prior to everything going on right now, I believe people graduated and then the next week or a few weeks after, but not long after, they would just go to state board, take their exam, pass, and move on. For me and a lot of other students, I graduated in July, I forget when, the beginning of July. And I took my state board exam September 30th or September 29th, one of the two. So I basically count the full month of July because I literally graduated at the beginning of July. So July, August, September. So roughly about 2.5 months it took me to go to state board. So I recommend that you give yourself enough time to study. I'm not going to lie, once I graduated, I made a bit more flashcards and I gathered all of my studying material, but I didn't start studying until a month later. So I studied for about a month and a half, but I really started to hound down and about 2.5 weeks prior. So it's I did it in increments. I gather all my studying materials and flashcards. I gather all of my studying materials and made my flashcards. And then the next wave, I kind of started studying those flashcards, and getting closer to it is when I kind of hounded down. That's what works for me. If you want to gather your materials and then hound down and study and then softly study, that works as well. So yeah, that's what I decided to do. I focused my flashcards on anatomy, physiology, and chemistry. And there was something else. Oh, and skin and nails, yes, because those were just the most dense topics. So yeah. And I studied that a lot. It's like a lot of my flashcards focused on those topics, but once I went to state board and took the written exam, I didn't have that many questions on those topics, and I had a feeling that that may have happened. Not a feeling, but I knew that that was a possibility, that that could happen, but I don't regret it. The thing about hair and everything, skin, nails, it's like one thing builds off of another. So it wasn't, when you understand the concept, the content isn't that hard. So that's one thing I kept reminding myself. But once I actually got to state board, I didn't have many questions centered around anatomy, chemistry, things like that, skin and nails, and that's what I really studied. But it's okay. It's okay. So I spent some time studying my flashcards. Let me show you. This is why I took a lot of time to study for my flashcards, or study my flashcards. Okay, that's all of my flashcards. So yes, in the midst of studying things that you don't know, or things that that's heavily dense, that you know that you'll need more time to work with, you need to also study things that you do know. And I did this maybe like 2 or 3 days before the test. It was something that just went off in my mind, and I was like, wait, you should also review the stuff that you do know. And I'm glad that I did, because there were just some things that I needed a refresher on, or just some things I didn't even think about. And I think it did help me on the test, because there were some things I remembered, and I'm like, I don't think I would have failed, but I wouldn't have felt as confident during the test, if that makes sense. And I have test taking anxiety, so I kind of probably did the most for this exam. But the fact that I would have had to pay for the test again and also drive to Columbus, I just really tried my best to not have to do all of that again. So I really do recommend that you also study the stuff that you do know, because I think it's very important. And it's also a refresher. And once again, as I said before, with cosmetology, things kind of build off of one another. I also utilize a cosmetology app. I will insert a photo of it or the link down below. This app helped me a lot, because throughout school, our instructors told us that the state board exam pulls from either Pivot Point or My Lady. Those are just basically 2 different textbooks that you'll run into as a cosmetology student. So I was used to the wording of Pivot Point, especially like with my flashcards and everything. But I also needed to be familiar with the wording of My Lady as well. And I think the app did a very good job of mixing the two, because there were some things I was like flowing and answering the questions, and then some were like, okay, let me think about this for a second. And I'm sure those questions were My Lady questions. So I really do encourage you to use the cosmetology app. And it also separates the categories. I think there's like 15 different categories that you can choose from. Let's say you need help with chemistry, you can choose chemistry and study chemistry. Same with physiology and anatomy and all those other things, perms, relaxers. So I did touch on the topics that, or the subjects that I had in my flashcards. Like, it's different having flashcards and things being put into a question. And then I also did the topics that I was already familiar with, which did help as well. I did utilize YouTube typically prior to this current situation, we were able, or the graduating students or the graduated students were able to come back and still practice their mocks in school. But due to everything going on now, once you graduate, you graduate. But there was one Monday, like one Monday every few weeks, where our instructor, or our mock instructor, her name is Pam, she would hold like mock sessions for the students who already graduated, which was like very, very helpful. It was also a nice refresher. I did mine's in mid-August, so after a month of not really doing much, it was like a nice refresher. Oh, we were talking about YouTube. So YouTube, it was very helpful for when I had like a question right then and now, or if I just needed to watch something to refresh myself. It was very helpful. I did find someone who is a cosmetology instructor in Ohio to watch. I recommend finding a video geared towards your state's cosmetology exam, because some things in Ohio may be different than somewhere in Delaware or something like that, especially dealing with how things are done, but also sanitation. Like I know Ohio, for example, when you can't have a towel on your station and tools on top of it, if I remember correctly. Like it's like that towel is unsanitary, so your tools are now contaminated or something like that. But in other states, they allow you to do that. So that's just one example. I do recommend, if you're watching YouTube, to find a video of someone who is a teacher in that state.
This is my instructor from Paul Mitchell, and she has her own YouTube channel, so I really recommend you guys go and subscribe. She's amazing and she really knows her stuff. This is her YouTube channel where she posts how-tos as well as state board prep materials, which I also did utilize. Also on Instagram, she does Instagram lives where she discussed different topics. One of them was anatomy, another one was color, and things like that. So I really recommend that you subscribe and you follow her, because it's all very, very useful material. Also, I do talk about her later on in this video, so it just shows how much I value her as an instructor and a cosmetologist and a specialist, because she's just very, very, very amazing.
Literally, don't be afraid to ask for help. I was one of those people who were afraid to ask for help up until literally cosmetology school. This may be like a little bit of TMI, whatever, but it's my real experience, and I'm sure the experience of other people. But growing up, I did go to a predominantly white school. There were some classes in which I was the only Black student, and also some classes in which I was maybe one of two Black students. I think in my graduating class, out of maybe 200, 250, there was only probably like 7 to 10 Black people. So just to give you an idea. I was just always afraid to ask questions, because I just didn't want to be that Black girl that stuck out who didn't really know anything. So I didn't really ask questions throughout school. And also, I still got good grades. So, but also like throughout college, I also didn't really want to stand out, because I was a social studies teacher. So my degree is in history, social studies, and education. And being a history and social studies student, there weren't many Black people and Black women in my classes, believe it or not. So once again, I just wanted to blend in. I didn't really want to ask any questions. Sometimes I would ask questions, but sometimes I wouldn't. And also, I would just utilize like their office hours. Yeah, I would just utilize their office hours. So yeah, I mean, I still got good grades throughout college, but so ask for help. Literally ask for help. There would be times when I would be in cosmetology school and I would almost be ashamed or embarrassed to ask for help, and it didn't really dawn upon me until some of my instructors would just say, just ask your question, like that's what I'm here for, to teach you. And I'm like, you're right. So I would just ask my questions. I had a lot of questions. I was very curious and I made sure I got those questions out. And even today, there's one instructor I will just like DM her on Instagram and ask her a question. Told throughout school, I think it was when I was in core. Basically, they tell you by the time you're done with core, you will be prepared to go to state board and take your cosmetology exam. But of course, like after core, you still have basically a year to go of cosmetology school. So I just remember sometimes the instructor would say like, if you do this, you lose a point. If you do that, you lose a point. But our instructor also emphasized that he didn't finish the state board haircut, but he still passed the haircutting portion. And that's one thing that stuck with me throughout my entire experience. And I feel like because he did as he was told, he literally followed directions, he was still able to pass that portion of the test. And literally do exactly as you are told at state board and you will be okay. Just like the little things, like I listened to all of the directions. I remember I did the facial and manicure portion, and then I did the written test, went on lunch, and then I came back and did the hands-on portion. So when we were preparing for the manicure and facial portion, we had to unpack our bags and sit the bags off to the side. I remember the lady saying you have X amount of time. When you're done, put your bag back. Once you put your bag over there, it stays. You cannot go back to your bag and get whatever out. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna unpack my bag, but I'm not gonna take my bag over there until it's time. Like I'm utilizing all of my time. And I laid everything out nicely. I took my time. The examiner, she also said like, make sure you don't forget your hand, like don't forget your hand in your bag. I wasn't done completely unpacking, but when she said that, whatever I was doing, I stopped. I took out my hand and put it on the desk. And long and behold, someone forgot their hand in the bag by the wall after the timer went off. And she's like, I left my hand. Can I go to my bag and get it really quickly, just really quickly? And the examiner was like, no. It's not funny, but literally, like, our instructors sometimes, even in school, they tell us you won't be able to do this at state board. Like, make sure you're prepared. If you're late coming back from lunch at state board, you won't be let back in. So the girl sat there and she gave herself a manicure at state board, and she still passed state board. So just giving you another example of someone not finishing or not fully being prepared for a portion of state board, but she still passed. But still do everything that you can to be as prepared as you can, because that anxiety that she probably had for the rest of the test throughout the day must have been high. And I just can't even fathom the thought of knowing that I could probably have failed because I forgot something so basic. And by the way, another thing, someone did come back late from lunch and they weren't let back in the room. So she probably passed the first half of the day, but she has to reschedule and wait X amount of months before she can come back and finish her exam. So some people cruise through school, but I feel like I don't know, because this may not be true, but like I just knew that I had high expectations of myself. So once I stepped foot in the doors of school, I still held those expectations for myself throughout school and even at state board. And now I still have those expectations of myself for my career. So some people, they may cruise through school and maybe an experience will toughen them up, but I just know that I don't want to miss a chance and I don't want to miss an opportunity. So for me, it's like I'm holding those expectations for everything that I do. So I don't know, I hope that helps you guys. Use all of your time. That's what I did even when I was packing my bag, you guys heard me say. And even on my state board haircut, I finished the haircut, but I still went back to check. I remember being in school and I finished my haircut. I was just relaxing off to the side, waiting for other people. And Pam, she came over, checked my haircut, and she was like, when you get to state board, use all of your time, because there are some areas in your haircut where you could have gone in to refine and fix, blah, 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 blah. So that's what I made sure I did at state board. I used all of my time. Even for the written exam, I finished the written portion, went back, filled in the questions I skipped, went back and reviewed all of my questions. And remember when I said things build off of one another? It's true, because when I went back and reviewed everything, I was even able to change some answers, because I'm like, this question reminded me of this and this and this and this and that. So use all of your time. It could literally make or break your results. So my test, I think I averaged a high B. So yeah, relax as my stomach is growling. So just relax. As I said before, I have test taking anxiety, so I really wanted to set the tone to make myself feel as completely comfortable and relaxed as possible. I enjoy being alone, so I did drive to Columbus by myself. I stayed overnight alone. I made sure I was settled in. I got dinner, relaxed. I reviewed my flashcards, reviewed my app. I reviewed a book that you get for Paul Mitchell with your state board kit. I reviewed the book. I reviewed YouTube. And even to just like calm myself and relax myself, I did watch like a regular YouTube video, whether I don't know what video it was, honestly. It was someone I was subscribed to, maybe a vlog or something like that, but just something to just make me woosah and feel comfortable. So yeah, I just really recommend whatever helps you relax. Set the tone and just relax. When I woke up, I'm not really hungry when I wake up, but I made sure I had something nutritious. I had a green juice that I brought from the store. And And as soon as I woke up, I also had coffee. Coffee does relax me. It's part of my routine, something that's normal to me, something that will help me relax. So I made sure I had coffee. And I also just made sure I was there on time. Sometimes time management is a struggle for me. So I also just wanted to set the tone to make sure that I was on time. I was up early. The testing center was only 8 minutes away from the hotel, so it wasn't bad at all. So yeah. So these are things that I did to prepare for state board. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below. Maybe someone else can learn from it or take from it that will help them. I'm just one person with my own learning style. So if you have any recommendations, please leave them down below for the next person. And thank you guys for watching. If you are new here, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on your post notifications, and I will see you guys next time. I feel like you guys don't really get me talking, so here's me talking. But I sometimes don't talk for a reason, because I can ramble on. Depending on how long this video will be, you guys will see. So yeah.